detective. Thrill me.
Thanks for joining us again for another episode. Gibbo's back in the fold. Now, Gibbo, before we get into this, I just need to ask, was From Paris with Love a stitch-up or not?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Explain.
It's clearly a poor film, but I wanted you to watch it.
Okay.
That's all it is to it.
Well, mission accomplished.
Yeah, that classifies as a stitch-up. It's a shit film.
It wasn't a deliberate stitch-up in that I didn't come to do the pod. That was a complete accident. I fell asleep watching Candyman because it was the most boring thing I've ever seen in my life.
It sounds like a stitch-up.
I thought you legitimately thought it was a good film.
I did not.
No. Okay.
It's a so bad it's good. You got to watch John Travolta with a goatee and a what are those things? Like a pashmina or whatever he was wearing on his neck. What's that called?
He looked like Walter White if he didn't have cancer.
Walter White working for McDonald's. Yeah.
Pretty much.
No, I didn't think it was good at all. No.
All right. Tonight's episode, we go into sort of semi-slasher movie territory with April Fool's Day from 1986. I believe there was some confusion.
I'm glad I asked, because I would have had to watch both of them. I nearly watched 2008.
That would have been a stitch-up. We should have said, yeah, we're watching the remake. Oh, no, sorry. After you watched
should
it,
have
sorry.
said, look, we're doing a double bill. But before we get to that, Gibbo, what have you been watching? Because you haven't been here for a little bit, so you must have a decent
I know,
list.
I'm a bad person. All right, so I got around to Handmaid's Tale, finally.
Ooh, I hear that's a slow build. And
Have you not seen it yet?
No.
I definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
It's a tough watch, but it's very dark. It's got some pretty heavy themes. If you've got any idea what it's about, you probably know what I'm talking about.
I do know, I have a rough idea what it's about.
But it's really, really well done, really well acted, and really well made. So I'll definitely give that a thumbs up.
Yeah.
I got around to watching Cam after I know you watched that. I'm assuming you did too, Jared.
Yeah.
One of the dumbest things I've ever had to do with my life. I did not rate that at all.
Yeah, see, I didn't mind it early.
It had a lot of promise.
Yeah.
The explanation for what's going on is not an explanation. There's nothing.
No, it was a whole thing trying to make a commentary on something without actually forming.
That's what it should have done. But there was no explanation.
A good movie.
Yeah.
The explanation is basically there's a completely random AI that's doing this for reasons. There's nothing, and it bugged the shit out of me.
Yeah, well, that was
because there was some good stuff
problem
otherwise.
Yeah, it had moments that were all right.
Didn't actually develop into anything.
There was
didn't
no
develop an
resolution.
ending.
Yeah, you get to the end and she just goes back in. And you're like, what?
With a different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, spoilery.
Yeah.
With different things happening.
I watched Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah. What was that like?
Shouldn't have won Oscars. It's basically an extended music video for Queen music, which is awesome, obviously. But the main guy does a really good job. But the movie's not anything special, I don't think. It's a standard music biopic. It's just, I don't know. I don't get all the buzz about it.
Laced with a large amount of bullshit. No.
Well, yeah, there's definitely plenty of liberties taken, but I mean, it was fine, but it wasn't like all this talk about how it should have won all these. Like, I just didn't see it.
See, this is what I said to you. Why sanitise it? I mean, when you've got the story of a bloke who had parties with midgets and bowls of cocaine on their head. But you're saying
the movie.
We have to take creative liberties to make this more interesting. No, you don't. Put the party down to a party.
Yeah, my own. Should have just been music, party.
Yeah.
I mean, their parties were legendary.
I'm sure they had a great time. But I mean, and like I said, the movie it does what it wants to do, but I just didn't see anything groundbreaking where you're like, oh wow, that's like something I haven't seen before. There's just none of that.
And I said it at the time when looking at the Oscar list this year, opening up to 10 films can really backfire. And what you end up with is a lot of lesser quality. And
having 10 films is fine. Just have the right ones.
But I reckon some years you wouldn't find 10 good ones.
But you got to get lean years. But surely there was 10 movies better than that.
Yeah,
100% there was.
I would definitely. I mean, I would possibly even suggest, and I haven't seen this, so I don't want to be a bastard, but Green Book won the Best Picture, and I wouldn't be surprised there was a couple of films better than that.
Yeah. See, the thing with Green Book is it has reasons that it possibly shouldn't have won. Again, took liberties and questionable kind of ethics around it and whatever, but the reviewers say take it as a film. Yeah, it's a pretty good film. Whereas Rhapsody was in the 60s on Rotten Tomatoes, like critical.
The word I got was
like
The word I got was that something like Black Klansman was a possible winner. You know, like it had a lot of good buzz, and it was supposedly a very, very good film.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard a lot of people that I think are smart
Roma,
movie people.
Roma
had a lot of buzz.
Really,
you know,
Yeah.
so Roma and Black Klansman get shafted by Green Book with Rhapsody in its pocket. Like Rhapsody was the next. Like they were sort of saying it was right in there.
Like the people come out and say, "Oh, yeah, but it had a really great soundtrack." Yeah, we fucking know. It's
course
Queen.
it did.
Yeah, it's not original music, you know. Like,
You don't get credit for a good soundtrack when you picked up Queen's greatest hits.
yeah, that just
It's their soundtrack.
that's such a wank.
I had a great soundtrack. Only one of the greatest bands in
The
history.
director's a genius.
Fucking
What
wow.
do? Just play Queen over the background. Like, oh. I mean,
That's not a reason.
it wasn't that bad. It's not a bad movie. It's just not a amazing movie. It shouldn't have been in that conversation.
Because I legit had, saw people I know on Facebook talking about, one of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
Nope.
Obviously, you've seen 2 movies in your life.
Jared, stop talking to those people. They're not people you should have around anymore, mate. Do better.
I have got that on my. Really do want to watch it.
Oh, it's definitely worth looking, mate. It's a worth a look.
So-
Rami Malek does a really good job. How he puts up with having those teeth in his mouth the whole time's impressive, but it's just not like an Oscar movie or even an Oscar-nominated movie should do something. It should be special, and it's just generic. It just feels,
Yeah, I've got it sitting on the top of the to watch pile at home, and haven't got to it yet.
So you still haven't seen it?
I've got it.
Oh,
sitting
okay.
there. I think I fired it up one night and then didn't finish it or something. But
Yeah, that sounds about right. I watched all of Dirty John.
Yeah, is that any good?
Yeah, it's really good.
Banner?
Banner's good. Plays a good dark bastard, and for everything that I've read about it as well, because I did a bit of just background, because I know you were saying that it was pretty accurate. It's spot on. Like
The
guy
guy's
was
a fucking
he
wanker,
was
mate.
well, he's fucking dead now.
I know,
thank
but he's a
Christ.
flog.
But to be honest, though, the stuff that they look into, if the history of him and his dad is accurate as well,
Yeah.
he never had a chance.
Yeah.
His dad was an absolute monster.
Yeah.
Like I won't spoil any of it, but just you can see why he ended up. Like I don't think it's not like a free pass for him to be what he ends up being.
Yeah.
But you can see what happened. Like
You're never getting off to a good start in your marriage when the marriage video has one bloke going, we used to call him in college Filthy John.
Mate, all his mates.
Holy
They
shit.
weren't even his mates. They were
We're in
just blokes
trouble.
that he knew from when he faked having a job. Like, he's a special dude.
I wish I could fake having a job.
You have done it before. I was there.
That's right.
We paid you.
I've been faking having a job for 17 years.
So I watched all of Dirty John. I watched Umbrella Academy.
Was that any good?
It's very different, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
Riley and I got right in. That's one of the things I've managed to twist her arm into watching with me. Really, really good. Yeah, it's very comic booky, but the twisted timeline stuff and things like that they do in it, it's really good.
Cool.
Good cast and everything as well, so it was worth a look. Something that's not worth a look, and I watched it because I just sat down to have a feed, and then this popped onto Netflix, and I'm like, I'll give it a look. Baywatch.
Oh, good.
As I said to you, mate, when the best joke is a guy with his nuts going to fucking chair.
Table. That movie is an
Why am I
absolute
laughing?
abomination.
It's terrible.
The whole story makes no sense.
Yeah.
Every single thing is a slow motion, misogynistic, just
As I said
My face
when
was
I
hurting.
saw it, it was basically 21 Jump Street,
no.
but just bad. A
21
bad
Jump
version of
Street's
21 Jump
good.
Street.
It's got actual
Yeah,
comedy.
but they were
Like
the same style. They
The
were trying
bones
to
of the
go the same
story
way.
about the guy, the guy being a swimmer that needs to come back here, do whatever, blah blah blah, and they just stumble into a plot. You could see it being like 21 Jump Street, but the jokes were awful.
Everything was bad. man.
Like there was barely a laugh in the whole thing.
The Rock is just
He's
cringe after cringe after
He is
cringe.
phoning it in big time.
Yeah,
There.
it was poor. And that's a massive not recommend. Don't go and look at it. Don't give it your time. I obviously finished it because that's what I do. But
Yeah.
Fucking Netflix. Just the next thing just starts.
I saw it like I can't be that bad.
This is recommended for you.
We'll
It
be on
didn't
in
just start.
5 seconds.
In fairness, I clicked on it, but I was eating in the background, and I started watching. Like, this is horrendous,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
just had to finish it anyway.
Oh.
And then after you realise that was recommended for you and on your list, you start fucking questioning why.
I question their algorithms.
Why is that recommended for me?
Yeah, I question their algorithms.
There's some
Haven't
questions
got a
there for
clue.
sure. And then I watched Highwayman on Netflix. Really good. Really good. And again, very true to life. And the fact that those two humans are romanticised as much as they are is disgraceful.
Is that the one with Costner?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson.
Yep.
They're both really good in it. It's got a little bit of a like True Detective sort of vibe. I think it's just because Woody's in there. But it's just like, and they go through a lot of detail and stuff. But dead set, Bonnie and Clyde, because this is all, they were very detailed with what they actually did as well.
Yeah.
They were monsters.
Yeah.
Like, she was an actual psychopath. Like, the whole, it's romantic, they ran off together.
Yeah.
She was married to someone else. She was just boning this bloke and murdering people, shooting, like, wounded guys in the face on the ground. Like, completely off the reservation bad people. But the movie's really good.
I'll have to check that out.
And I did a rewatch of Spider-Man Homecoming completely accidentally because Riley was trying to figure out what Marvel movies she hadn't seen. She goes, I haven't seen the new Spider-Man, so I clicked on it. And then as soon as Michael Keaton comes up, she goes, I've seen this one. So that was $7 I'll never get back. But again, rewatch. It's fine. It's a solid 7.
Run through before.
Yeah, well, I was actually about to start watching Infinity War before Endgame came out, and she's like, "Oh, I've seen this. Let's watch something else." And then she'd seen that as well. So.
Yeah, because I did the whole run through before Infinity War, so now I've only got a couple to just go back to Black Panther and those ones. And Yep.
That's it for me anyway.
All right, Joe.
Yeah, I only had a couple actually. Didn't finish it, but got about halfway into Mortal Kombat.
The first one?
Yeah, the original one.
At least you didn't have to watch Annihilation.
I've got it lined up. Because obviously, my son's...
Hope you like stop-motion animation.
Yeah. It's actually, the DVD actually came with Legacy, I think it's called, the web series they did, which is pretty cool. It's the one with, like, Michael Jai White as Jax and...
Yeah, like he should have always been.
Yeah, so... I'm kind of looking forward to getting to that, but the first one still does it for me. It's still like it's one of the few video game movies that took exactly what you liked about the video game
and just repeated.
Right, here we go. We're going to put that onto the screen without making massive alterations or giving you something completely different.
They did stay pretty true to life.
I remember Resident Evil when I was watching it. I'm like, this has got nothing to do with any of the games except for zombies.
Yeah.
So look, the special effects are shoddy.
Reptile looks good. What are you talking about?
Oh, fuck.
Goro.
First time he came up. But
Goro looks like a big pile of Play-Doh.
But the some of the sets and the backdrops and things like that still look pretty good for the time.
They look like the game. Yeah.
Hey?
Christophe Lambert?
Oh, great, of course.
Totally makes sense.
He's right off the screen. Yeah.
He's definitely an Asian god.
I actually think Johnny Cage. I never remember liking Johnny Cage that much, but he was actually pretty good. That Lyndon Ashby or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I was kind of enjoyed it, to be honest. Just gave you fight scenes and plenty of them. I watched that Twisted Sister doco on Netflix. Yeah, it was alright actually. It was just funny to see, because we're so far removed from that now, that these guys were so fucking successful as a band, but never had a record deal for so long. They were making enough money to sustain doing that just by playing the New York.
Well, that's it. That was the thing I found interesting is we all remember them as, we're not going to take it and all that in the early 80s, but they'd spent 10 years building up a rep just to get to that.
Yeah, and as one of them
said, and that was the doco was actually about that. It wasn't about the success they ended up having.
And that's, the amount of bad luck that they had, like the bloke that signed him to a deal and then had a fucking heart attack on the plane back to England, and the people at Atlantic Records wanting to sign them, but the head of Atlantic Records just saying, these guys are shit, and just like not signing them for years until some other bloke in England saw them on a TV show and signed them, and then told the other bloke, I just signed this band. What's their name? Twisted Sister. Oh, you fucking what? But he'd already done it by then, and then, seeing how they managed to just go for a decade. Oh, I mean, one of them said at the time, we could have moved to LA and tried that, but we were playing to fucking 10,000 people in a New York club, or 5,000 at this joint. However, they were selling out every fucking place they
went
played.
to. Yeah.
So that was pretty good. The only other one I watched was The Ritual.
Oh, yeah. Good? Yeah, the Netflix one.
I'm meant to get to it.
Yeah, that's bloody
It's on my list.
Oh, yeah, I really
it doesn't
liked
quite hang at the end.
I liked it a lot. Yeah, look, it wraps up pretty much how you think it's going to wrap up. But I thought the performances were really good. And the back and forth between the blokes, you could really believe what was going on.
And just that stuff where the first night they stay in that shack
Yeah.
And the guy wakes up upstairs underneath that idol thing.
Yeah, it's
creepy.
It's creepy. It's got a bit of a Blair Witch kind of vibe, like in that sense that it doesn't do a lot, but it manages to scare you with what it does. And yeah, I quite liked it actually. So that was it. That was all I watched.
All right. I had very little as well. I'm still going through Santa Clarita Diet. Yeah, look, I'm with you. I
could not get into that.
I couldn't really. I mean, look, it's okay. It has its moments, but it's just not brilliant or anything. So I doubt it'll go past this season. To be honest, I think Netflix will probably get rid of it. Finished Castle Rock. Really enjoyed it. I've left some shit hanging and was really interesting stuff. And I love the fact that the second season is going to take place in a different time period, I guess, with a different set of characters. So we've got more stories to tell.
Yeah.
And I think it could actually work out really well. After I finished Castle Rock, I went back to 11/22/63. We started watching it about 18 months ago, got a couple of episodes in, kind of went, and walked off it. I'm up to the 5th episode. Yeah, look, it's good. It's just not as good as something like Castle Rock or some of the others.
Yeah.
But I'll see it through, and we've got Mr. Mercedes waiting in the wings.
Yeah. I've actually got to get on the get on the book of that, because the Losers Club, which is a really good Stephen King podcast, they reckon that book is probably the best one he's written.
11/22/63. Yeah, it's fantastic.
And The Outside is just firing up at HBO, I think, too.
Yeah.
And they've picked that up for
picked that up as well. Stephen King, once again, goes cha-ching. A big water case.
He must be knocking on his door and going, oh, look, have you got a bloody, I don't know, a handwritten note that hasn't been optioned?
You got any toilet paper handy, Stephen? You got a skid mark I can make into a million.
Look, I'll give you $1 million for a couple of posters from your office. Anything. Just give us something.
Oh, the man's having a renaissance. He's never had so much money, I'm sure. Because he's also involved. What I've noticed looking at these TV shows is he's having more involvement.
Yeah.
So he's being able to shape it better.
Yeah.
Into something that he's comfortable with,
and
not just handing it off to.
He's got the power.
But then he can't rubbish it later on.
Yeah, I know. But he's gone past the rubbish. He's
got the power to slip his name into a producer's slot too now, so he's making even more money.
But also, TV's working for him because his books are such a big canvas that the TV's idea of 8 hours worth does it more justice.
It honestly makes more sense for all of his stuff to do long
And Castle Rock was, I just loved the idea of, like, we're not taking Stephen King stories, but we're just taking his style and his inspiration from it.
His
and
characters and stuff like that. And the last one, my wife needed to watch this for university stuff. It's called the Stanford Prison Experiment. Holy shit, if you want to see psychotics, mate, fucking hell. The bloke who ran that experiment is a fucking psychotic.
Did he sew people's lips to their bum holes?
Not quite. But basically they ran an experiment in the early 70s where they took a group of students and they split them into guards and prisoners and they turned it into a makeshift prison. Right?
Mm.
And basically what I think he was doing was trying to see giving people certain roles in the prison environment, what will they become?
Yeah.
And it was about power.
And it was about power. And the guards did exactly that. Yeah. They became abusive, basically they took away their human rights. And ultimately the study, I believe, founded or had a lot to do with changing the way prisons are run now, because back then that's what guards were doing. They were abusing inmates and they were taking away human rights.
Mate, we've all seen Shawshank.
But as I said to my wife, I said he couldn't. They were supposed to be down there for 14 days. They lasted 6, and he still tried to keep it continuing. And I said to her, look,
so in 6 days they went that far down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, 2 people had breakdowns. It was just it was crazy.
Jesus.
And I was just saying he became the worst of the lot because he sat up there and he watched this and he let it happen, let it continue. And it was only after his girlfriend basically ran out of the place crying that he stopped it. She married him. And I'm like, I wouldn't go near the bloke if I'd known he'd done that.
Well, I think the guy is still quite...
He's quite well regarded, yeah. He is well respected, and I'm not doubting that what he did brought change.
I think you need to get onto because obviously this is the thing with the dramatisations. Obviously they're going to take all those aspects.
Yeah, the doco would probably help.
Like docos and things like that. Because I haven't seen a lot about it.
Although from what I got told, he was a consultant on the movie. So...
Yeah, but I mean, fuck, Queen was a consultant on Bohemian Rhapsody too. Yeah. So, what does that mean?
That was legit. It was all their music.
It's the best movie.
Look, it's probably been tweaked to make him look worse than
I love watching those true to life things, but the first thing I do when I finish them up is
quickly check it. See.
Well, let's check the fact versus fiction here.
Yeah,
but I guess the way I look at it is, he couldn't quite see. Look, I might have. We've seen where this is going after about 3 days. Might be time to pull up stumps. And
I think he probably could, but there'd be. The thing about it is the power probably fucking got to him.
Yeah, it did,
because he was like, "Fuck, you know."
Look at what I can make these guys do.
He was probably hoping for that to happen, and it was going.
And I think that's exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
He's exactly going.
The time when it was done, there was lots of fucking ethically dubious experiments and shit going on too.
Well, as they said, the uni signed off on it.
Yeah.
And imagine today rolling that out. Like to run a small prison.
You'd get shouted down that quickly.
We just turned Wing 10 into a prison for a couple of days.
But the most interesting thing was none of the prisoners just said, look, nah, stop. You know, or fucking jobbed one of the guards or something. They took it. They put up with it, you know, like they kind of got into this mentality. They were no longer named, they were numbers. And that was kind of scary.
I can see that happening. It's
just
amazing
how
quickly psychological effect on them too.
Yeah.
Like, it's just amazing it happened in 6 days, but
yeah. 6 days it broke some of them down.
That's amazing.
Nobody had any lasting ill effects, allegedly. But it was interesting, but imagine being involved in that for $15 a day. That's what I'm getting
$15 a day? Jesus Christ. Got to pump it up a little bit.
No, but in $71, that was 100 squid.
Yeah, but look, I'm still suing afterwards.
Mate, imagine it today. They'd be sued that far into the future.
Yeah.
It would.
All right, and that was it for me. All right, let's take a break. Here's a trailer for 1986's April Fool's Day.
Paramount Pictures cordially invites you to the party to end all parties.
April Fool. You are such a jerk. Is something wrong?
April Fool's Day. Get ready to party till you drop. Rated R.
April Fool's Day from 1986. Directed by Fred Walton, who directed When a Stranger Calls. It's produced by Frank Mancuso Jr., who produced the Friday the 13th films from 2 through 8. And written by...
the good ones, he knew where his bread was buttered.
That's right. Written by Daniello Buck, who wrote Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh.
I think he may have wrote the story. I don't think he wrote the screenplay. Mm-hmm. It stars Deborah Foreman as Muffy St. John, Amy Steele as Kit, and Thomas F. Wilson as Arch. The budget was $5 million and the box office was $13. 2 bits of trivia. It actually did have another third act. Like it had a third act.
Obviously, we're spoiling the shit out of this
well,
one.
Yeah, this will obviously be spoiled, but it did have a much longer script. But also, the guy who plays Skip, Griffin O'Neill, in the film he's blamed for a prank-turned accident that leaves a ferryman disfigured. In a bizarre case of life imitating art, O'Neill was indicted on manslaughter charges the following year for a drug-induced boating mishap that resulted in the death of Francis Ford Coppola's son.
Right.
Did he ram him into the pier?
I don't know.
Imagine that.
Imagine if he died. Jesus Christ.
Mate, go grab that bow rope and push him out and run into him.
That's on Internet Movie Database, so I'm just...
Did you fact check?
Oh, I did fact check, so I can't be 100% sure.
Nicolas Cage never forgave him.
All right. I'm going to go first here.
Okay.
This film was
Bad.
a nostalgia thing for me. I always loved it back in the 80s. And watching it again, it has interesting ideas and there's some good things there. But I think because it's a mystery and the ending is cool, but because it's a mystery, it is quite boring. It doesn't really build a lot of momentum. And because you can't, like in a slasher flick, you can cut a few heads off and you can, there's gore and blood and that's what you're there for. When you don't have that, you've got a very sort of slow-moving 85 minutes. And really it only perks up in the last probably 20 minutes towards the end when they start to work out who it is and, the ending is finally revealed. Because of nostalgia, I've decided, I tossed up between... I was tossing up between going to 3, but I've gone for a 2.5.
Right. Did we shame you into that one?
No. 3, I think, was probably too high.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Go for it, Coxie.
Yeah, right. I actually had really fond memories of this one too, but it had been a while since I watched it. And this time, I just saw all the warts. Like, the last time I watched it, I think I had... The last time I watched it, I'd seen it enough to know the twist, obviously, but this time around, I don't know, I was kind of slapped around the head with all the issues with it that I hadn't possibly seen the other times. So the kicker is the twist. It's the big thing that the whole movie hangs on, basically, and the whole memorable aspects of it. And I think the issue with that is because of the twist and the way it's set up, as you said, it's kind of... It's supposed to be a mystery, but it's not even really that. Like it's a slasher without a slasher, basically. Yeah. And that's a big issue because in an 85-minute runtime, to be missing 4 or 5 scenes that could take up 4 or 5 minutes a piece of stalk and slash or a bit of...
Yeah.
To be missing that is a bit of an issue. The other thing of it is there's a lot of time when nothing seems to be happening on screen. Just characters talking about what they're going to do next year.
Yeah.
Shit like this going on. So, yeah, it was a bit of a disappointing rewatch for me. I think I ended up at a 2. So it's sort of like it's still something that has to be mentioned whenever you're talking about the slashers because the ending and because it did something so different, but the rest of it just doesn't quite hold as strong.
Gibbo.
I hated it.
No surprise.
Surprise.
I've got no nostalgia. I'd never heard of this movie before. I was really, as you said, Adam, it's missing all of the main elements you need from one of these sort of movies. Trying to do it like a Cluedo sort of thing. Just nothing happens for extended periods of time other than people walking around lighting cigars and being really old college students.
I was kind of hoping it was going to be an exploding cigar.
Yeah.
It was.
It was.
Eventually, he's lighting it. It's going to explode.
It blew up
going to
later
explode.
on him.
It's going to explode. And then... I
must have turned away for that split second. I was waiting for it to explode, then I fucking fell asleep.
College students who are easily 25 plus. Like, one guy, honestly, is 30.
What about the boring, I can't remember what her name was.
Nan or whatever.
She is someone's nan.
Yeah.
That's where the name came from. She dead set acts like she's 76 years old. And she's... that aside, some of the other people were clearly... it's like Beverly Hills 90210. You kids are not in high school, you know what I mean? Like, this is...
He's 35 years old.
Yeah. Look, it's Luke Perry.
Yeah, it's not the high schoolers. It's a bloody parents' retreat, I think.
I think it was night classes at TAFE.
But the whole movie's just not... Some of the scenes that are going on, like, they have an impromptu soccer match and it's just garbage. It was really bad.
Some of it feels like padding.
It's
all
all
trying
padding
to get to
because it's padding between scenes that aren't there. So you go from padding to padding to padding to padding to a twist ending to a shit extra twist ending that shouldn't be there, and the movie's over, and you just want to dig your eyeballs out and go to sleep.
Whereas, had they have had the third act, maybe things wouldn't have been quite so padded in that early stage.
It might have helped.
Because the third act would have then added another, and possibly had it have been a gore-soaked third act, it would have helped.
The third act was then, we are actually going to kill them.
If it made any sense. I don't know if it would have helped it at all.
I actually think it probably would have, but...
Anyway, I thought it was completely incoherent. It wasn't scary. It wasn't funny. It wasn't anything. I had to stretch to get to a 1.
Fuck.
Jesus.
1.
I don't know what you guys are saying.
More than a 1.
You gave it a 2, and I was like, what are you looking at? I was nearly a 0. I did set.
The likes are...
It exists. So
There are some alright likes for me. It's a simple setup. You get a group of teens onto an island. Nice location, of course, for me.
Scenery. As soon as you saw
Scenery.
you saw the view from the house, and that was
You then cut them off with all that stuff in the first couple of minutes is quite good, effective, just to tell you that there's only one or two. There's a ferry that runs on a Friday and then doesn't come back till Monday. You cut everyone off.
You cut off. Yeah,
you do all that shit and you do it quickly at the start, and it's effective for a slasher movie. So that, at the very least, kicks you off at a decent start.
Yes. I also I actually like the intros on video.
Yeah,
you always got to have one dickhead walking around with a video camera. So to get a little bit of the characters, like, even though it's only a few minutes here and there, you get
a little taste of who they are.
Yeah. They give you a bit of exposition about what they're doing on the ferry. They go to Amy Steele's character, and she basically is like, nah, just don't talk to me or whatever. And you sort of get a sense of, okay, who's who's for real, who's the...
And they do it quickly because it's an 85-minute slasher film, so you don't have long to set them up, and they do it reasonably well. For some reason, I got a couple of giggles out of Thomas F. Wilson. I don't know why.
I got a giggle from him just being there. To see...
Biff Tannen.
To see Ginny from Friday 2 and then Biff Tannen in the same... in the same crew of people heading over.
And I was saying to Gibbo, my personal favourite of him was where they're outside the house and he's like, I'm here, it is my duty to bed as many women as possible. And he's in like tracksuit pants.
He's really dolled up.
And I'm like, you are no chance.
back in 86, mate.
No chance, mate.
No, mate. There is a lady there. This is my biggest like for the whole movie. There's a person in this movie called Muffy St. John.
So
it's the best.
It's a fair chance.
Name of all time.
It sounds like you've ended up at Sexpo for the weekend.
She's definitely in a D-grade porno. Muffy St. John.
We've moved Sexpo to an island.
Like, she's definitely going to sleep with Rex Steele later on.
My favourite was actually Hal. I don't know why, but the way he's fucking, the whole sharks accent, the way he rolls up to that bloke and he's like, Springsteen, still the boss.
And then he says to that bird, because I'd really like to plough your field.
He was a real winner.
He's a real quality bloke.
I mean, look at what the ladies are picking from this bunch of blokes.
The guy who did you say looked like?
Richard Marx.
Richard Marx.
His name's Chaz.
know better.
To turn her with his hair.
He had I got a laugh when he's like, what does he say? Before this night is over, someone will pull their weight.
He did
God.
He's halfway between Richard Marx and Kevin Bacon from Footloose.
The jock bloke looked mysteriously like Kevin Bacon, didn't he?
Was it Rob?
Yeah, Rob,
Yeah.
Your fly's open. Actually, he zips it up and his missus goes, oh, God damn it.
He was so upset when he got his gorgeous mullet wet too. It was big billowy mullet. And he gets in the water and it's all slipped down and he's just crushed.
And also, he cracks out the tiny whitey.
With massive nappy ass. Looks like he shit himself.
I'm not actually sure how he got his zip done up either, because there's not a lot of flex in those. Not a lot of flex in those jeans.
They have to be action jeans, Jared.
They were Chucky Norris action
it's
jeans.
It's not doable sitting down.
You need blocking someone. You're in your action jeans.
Your fly's undone. I'll have to stand up and just do it back up.
I thought he was like, I'm not going to fall for that.
Definitely, it was definitely 1986. So as soon as you saw the strides, it was like, that's definitely 1986.
Mate, the stride. What about Richard Marx's whole outfit?
I know.
He had the suit jacket with the rolled up sleeves, the white thing underneath it.
And
I like that they took the piss out of that though, that he didn't jump in the water because he's like, I had to take off my jacket.
He's like, God damn it, I did something. Fuck you.
There's 3 people already in the water.
That's right. He's just like, fuck you guys. No, you know what? I also got a bit of a giggle. I don't know why, but she's talking about how she's reading Proust or whatever, and he says he's reading fucking Junk's magazine. He's talking about it in still these fancy terms, and he goes, would you like to...
Yeah, he shows us. It's a box shot. While we're on that subject,
1986.
my second favourite part of the whole movie is Chaz and who's the smaller blonde girl? Nikki.
Nikki, yeah.
Their sex position.
Yeah.
The human pretzel. Whatever that is. He goes, yeah, look, neither of them are enjoying that. It's like one of those things you do to say that you've done it.
I was sitting there thinking, whose legs
legs
is that?
Yeah. There's legs and arms and shit everywhere. That was next level. That's like Kama Sutra level
Hey,
shit.
good old bloody Arch just walking around waltzing into people's rooms. Oh, shit, sorry.
And no one even panics. He just stares at them for a minute and then leaves.
Jesus.
Mate, you can tell this was well before the Me Too era, this film.
I actually like the idea of them all having something in their room that kind of indicated that maybe they had secrets. And obviously one of them does actually make sense. Like one of them is legit. And I thought the crying baby was kind of creepy, you know, the idea of hearing that in your room in the middle of the night. But that stuff was okay. But again, the negative for me is where does that really go? It doesn't really pay off much. There's nothing to it.
Hang on, did some of that go over my head then? Because I thought it was just her playing.
She was. But what was happening was, because there was the stuff in the guy's, in his drawer had like a fire kills whatever car accident.
Articles.
The crying baby was in Nan's room.
Yeah.
That's why.
And obviously she's a grandmother. So.
Yeah. She lost her. She had obviously had something that had actually happened.
Oh,
so
okay. I saw her get
that was
upset,
why
but I
she
didn't
was getting the
understand why.
shits. And I think that's kind of why they stupidly added that bit at the end. Right? And I kind of like that because, again, it was trying to take that mystery Agatha Christie type of approach where everyone's got a secret and who could it possibly be?
Yeah,
but there's no payoff.
Yeah, the only problem was that was where it was and not much.
Yeah,
else.
like, oh, look, I opened my medicine cabinet, there's some heroin paraphernalia.
And
it probably would have been better if they had committed to that.
Yes.
Because the slasher elements weren't able to be used, really.
And none of them, like, they try to sort of make out, like, other than Nan, who gets upset, so you know that affected her and had something to do with it, the others just skate right past it.
Yeah.
So you don't even, as soon as Arch doesn't even give two shits that he found some heroin paraphernalia, you just know, okay, well, he does that, that's got nothing to do with him, or he's not going to get upset, or...
Yeah.
Yeah, just it doesn't pay off anywhere.
He didn't know what the fuck was going on.
No, I was too busy trying to bed every woman I could get.
Well, you can't even sit on a chair.
That was cool.
That was actually, look,
you love the chair.
You passed over that. That was one of my biggest likes in the movie. In the same scene, there's a whoopee cushion gag and a bloke falls off a chair. I'm like, fuck, they've written this movie just for me.
But how did that chair contraption work?
I don't know.
He's hitting the floor much harder than that.
But the chairs there, the back legs fold out like as if they're on a hinge, even though they're under load. Then he falls off, and then the thing's like I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah,
if they exist, I want one.
Yeah, bloody oath, I want one.
I'd have a ball at work with it.
Yeah,
because
honestly,
he's actually sitting on it for a short period.
Yeah,
so it's
not
actually
instant.
taking his load.
Here's when he
leans back.
When he leans back, off he goes. Honestly, I would knock myself out if I was the one on the chair. I would just go flat on the back. Then when I woke up, when I came to, I'd be firing up, telling everyone off. But no, that was a winner.
I also like the little dolls that they used at the table that then come back later. So they're sort of brought back in as
in the
showcasing how they all died.
That actually reminded me of Hereditary.
Yeah, a creepy moment that once again it just didn't kind of find any real footing in there. But it was a kind of creepy idea to use it.
Yeah, I think the only out of the kills, if you can call them that, and the scares, the only one that really landed for me was the head behind the painting.
Yeah,
that one was cool. Like because
they lifted the painting out of the way because they lifted the painting off with the eye.
Yeah, and so obviously you knew, something's off here, and then when it's the fucking head behind it that falls over as well, that was the only thing for me that was like, that's really creative. That stands out as something a bit different. So
what other? There weren't a lot of kills that you saw. I kind of did. I also like the one where Skip.
They weren't killed.
I like the one where Skip went down into he was pissed and he went down into the boat house and it was all kind of dark and he lights the lighter and the cat jumps out.
Yep.
And then he kind of turns around to look back there and then a hand just goes behind him and pulls him into the darkness.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really effective way to do it.
That was a dislike for me.
But to me, if you don't show the person's death in a slasher film,
well, that's it. You couldn't.
You couldn't. So you get hurt basically by that.
And that's possibly why they should have played up the mystery angle a bit more.
Yes. Should have gone away from slasher movies.
Yeah, because I mean, you couldn't even show the killer.
Basically, it could have been.
You couldn't show anything.
Well, look at Harper's Island, for instance. You know, they could have taken a similar kind of tact to that, or gone for more, away from the slasher movie stuff and more of a mystery, Agatha Christie type of thing. Group of people at a house.
Yep.
You know, make them older. 40, 45, rather than the early 30s.
Rather than 35, yeah.
The biggest bit for me is the ending. I still think the ending's cool because it's totally against what you would have got in these movies.
Yeah. Well, with the names, attached to you see it's like Frank Mancuso Jr. and then it's right in that mould of, we take a holiday or a day of some significance and we set a slasher around it.
Yeah.
So
from a marketing perspective, you could see how everyone kind of went looking for Friday the 13th type.
Yeah.
Thrills.
I fall into the category of I still like it. I can see how it would divide the audience, and I believe it has, like, over quite a time. There's even, hardcore sort of slasher fans that hate it. But yeah, I was happy enough with it that it gave something different and played with the conventions a little bit.
Didn't just roll out the same old shit. She chases them around the island and then they kill her, that type of thing.
Yeah. And let's face it, if it didn't have that ending, no one would still be watching it.
No.
Because everything else about it is kind of bland. So
yeah. Any other likes?
No. That was it for me.
That's it. Dislikes. The major one is exactly what we said before, that it's not really a slasher film. And it does not work. It can't possibly work as a slasher movie because you need to see the death shots. That's part of what you go to a slasher movie for.
Yep.
And they have to deliver.
Yeah, and they tried to...
It's no surprise the Friday the 13th series knocked out 8 movies in the 80s and still made money because it was all about who Jason was going to kill.
Yeah, they tried to... They tried to run with it for a little bit, but it's just like you just couldn't wring anything out of them because they didn't show the killer. They didn't work out a way to be able to show a killer of some sort. They couldn't show anyone being killed, obviously. They could only show the aftermath. And even that, they didn't do all that effectively all the time. There was a couple that I liked. I didn't mind the one with the body going under the water when they were in the boathouse, and then obviously the one with the head behind the...
Oh, Skip with his dick cut off. Wearing a gimp mask.
Yeah,
brilliant.
That was 50-50 on that one. But yeah, it hamstrings the film. I mean, to go 85 minutes, and as I said, in another 85-minute slasher film, you can wring a few minutes out of every one of those kill scenes, and they just couldn't do it. So then all of a sudden, that 85 minutes felt like fucking 185.
Yeah. Plus, there's a lot of convenience you have to swallow. For her to get it all to work out in her favour, there's a lot. Mm-hmm. Everything has to fall into place. And it's hard to believe that there wouldn't be some kind of, somebody zigs when they should have zagged or whatever.
Or not one person... when she springs the surprise on him, goes, what the fuck are you doing? Get fucked.
Yeah. So you have to believe
as simple as like the guy that completely inexplicably goes wandering into the woods to find a bloke that's gone missing.
Yeah.
And then steps into a snare. Like she says later on, how would I have known about the snake? How the fuck did you know he was going to put his foot there? He's in the middle of the forest.
Yeah. Anywhere. He didn't get led there. Yeah, like if he'd been led there, you could have believed
this bloke's missing. I'm going to wander off into the middle of the island for no reason.
There's probably snares all over the place. She's got fucking 20 of them set up.
Yeah. There's just a lot. Yeah.
There's a lot to swallow. You have to swallow all this stuff to believe that it would turn out without anybody knowing.
Yeah.
Or catching on. And then to add to that, the Muffy Buffy angle. It sticks out like dog's nuts, like 5 seconds after they come into the kitchen and she's making eggs. And she looks like a bloody wreck.
Someone says, who made her night last night? Like, hang on. She's clearly a different person. It's not bed hair.
I forgot about that. That's different.
That's a bit that likes picture.
But you immediately go, that's not her.
Yeah.
That's someone else. And yes, the idea is you're supposed to be conditioned as a slasher movie fan to believe it'll be just a dumb thing about twins. But still, you see her like 4 times or something.
Yeah.
And each time she looks more and more dishevelled.
Dishevelled, haggard,
Yeah.
just spaced out.
And it's like,
and then when you find out it actually isn't a twin situation, that's what I mean. The whole movie is just a lie.
Yeah.
And that bugs the shit out of me. When the movie's lying to, it's not a twist. It's just bullshit. And it,
Look, it sounds like a plot that someone called Muffy St. John would have put together.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a plot of a pornographic film. If any one of those blokes is 21 years old, I'm also 21.
I reckon Hal was probably
about 30.
I'm just getting ready for year 11 next year.
I just left high school. Some of them look ridiculously aged up.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're all talking about college or
what they're doing after graduation.
I'm just like, you graduated years ago.
Graduation from the old people's home.
Well, yeah, you'll be retiring and going into an old person's home.
I'll go right back to the start. This is a bit specific, but when I first knew I was going to hate this pile of shit,
which would have been before you saw it.
I actually did have an inkling, but this just settled it for me. When they're doing the intro scene with the Jack in the Box,
Yeah.
and it's flashing back and forth between Muffy and the little kid, and it's for some reason zooming right in on the kid's eyes, I was out.
You're out.
That's it. I'm done.
Jesus, is that all it takes to get you out of something?
I don't need
I'm
that.
going to pass that one.
It bugged me straight away. I'm like, this is just going to be shit. I don't like this already, and that was it for me.
But also, where does that play in on anything?
It doesn't.
Did she have a sister?
No, I think it was like...
It was just trying to, again, lie to you. It had to lie.
That scene was one of my dislikes too, because it was like... When you see her remembering something, it's like... If that's not legit, then it's like... It's sort of a cheat.
Yeah. They were cheating a lot to keep that ending secret, I guess.
Yeah. I think... I mean, it's a difficult thing to pull off, what they attempted to do. And
I appreciate them trying to do it.
yeah, but there was a few parts of it that just weren't all that successful in hindsight. That said, when I watched it as a fucking 16 or 15-year-old idiot or whatever, I didn't pick it. So
no, I didn't pick it at all.
But once you become a bit more sort of wary of what's going on, I reckon if we watched this now without kind of having seen it back then, you would pick something pretty hefty. Is that?
But this is the thing that shits me about the 2008 version, is that they had so much room to tidy it up, and make it a better picture using a similar skeleton, but they turned it into an absolute fucking shambles.
I reckon it's better.
No, it's not. I can tell you now, it's not.
Also, can anyone tell me, if you met any one of these characters in real life, would you befriend them?
Oh, fucking oath. Yeah,
look, I would generally, Chaz.
If Hal was talking about Springsteen, I'd be there in a second, mate.
You'd be going,
They are all absolute dickhead humans. Like, you wouldn't be in a room with them for more than 2 minutes.
Me and Chaz would be hanging out.
But this is
and none of them seem to like each other either.
Yeah, look, there was a lot of connection.
All of them had the hallmarks of, like, Friday the 13th films and things like that.
Yeah, just generic stereotypes.
Yeah, exactly. My only issue is not necessarily that they're not likeable, because, I mean, it helps. If you don't like a few of them, you can say, right, well, they're going. You can kind of... You almost anticipate them getting knocked over by Jason or something like that. The problem for me was that because there was so many of them, and it didn't seem to know whether it was going to go with the mystery or the slasher, half the movie, actually almost 50 minutes has gone before I really figured out, okay, so these are the two characters, or these are the handful of characters we're supposed to be following through till the end.
Yeah.
Because for the first 40 minutes, I had no fucking idea. They were jumping around to
everybody. Because you barely saw Amy Steele.
No.
In the first 40 minutes.
Exactly. And they were jumping
so suddenly
she
becomes the final
Is she the main blonde girl that's with Rob?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yep.
And there's no inkling until at least 40 minutes in that perhaps she's the one we're following. Even if it's a mystery, and I did like the idea that, each of them discovered something in their room or whatever, but you still have to go with somebody.
Yes.
Like, you still have to have some of those bozos that go, what the fuck's this? I'm going to get pissed or whatever.
Yeah.
But someone has to say, no, there's something here, and kind of go on with it. Or we have to have someone to drive the story for us, and none of them did for so long that it was just
because again, the mystery element was trying to sort of showcase, let's have a quick look at everyone and see the beady eyes and everyone's, who could be them, but they didn't actually sit with someone and say, well, this is your protagonist, this is who you need to be with.
Or didn't get one person to enable us to kind of get some plot.
Yeah,
there was just nothing.
Also, I'm not sure about the original prank by Skip. He throws the knife at him, and but there's sleight of hand and there's impossible, and that's impossible.
We just watched that knife fly through the air into his stomach.
Where did the knife go?
No, it's a lie. That's what I said. That's another example of it's just bullshit.
Yeah, it's just I guess cheating to keep you believing something.
Yeah, so along the lines of the character thing too. Can anyone tell me who? Like, obviously Rob and whoever, Amy Steele, whatever her name was, they were obviously a couple. Who else? Was any other couples? Was Chaz and Nikki a couple?
They were kind of,
they did the human pretzel, but then at one point he's hitting on other people and she's hitting on other people. And
look, they were just interested in each other, in that respect. They wanted to get into weird
but
positions.
she was cracking on the Hal as well.
Yeah.
He was talking about playing a field or whatever.
And he was trying to hit on Nan. And
quite frankly, though, my personal... Rob's an absolute arsehole. At one point, they basically, when they find the bed covered in blood, and he does the fucking Harry Holt, and she calls out, what about Buffy? Forget her! He's running!
Her name's Muffy. She can handle herself.
Rob, I'm out of there.
I'm out of there, yep.
I'm swimming
bastard!
You said you liked the scene...
Yeah, where he gets grabbed.
The cat...
Oh, the cat
I didn't mind the
terrible.
scene, but as soon as the cat jumped out, my words to the TV screen were, piss off.
Yeah, how many times can a cat jump out?
In fact, they should have just skipped the cat and had him there going like that, and then suddenly your hands come out behind him and pull him into the darkness. It would have been cooler. The cat, and those cats are always being thrown.
Make it a possum or a raccoon. I'm tired of a cat being the only thing that can make a noise in the dark.
You're on an island with not a lot of people, so there's got to be other wildlife other than a cat. It would have been better if it was something else.
But every single time that happens in the movie too, it's always that. Yeah, and you're like, fuck off, mate. Cats don't even do that.
Doing it since the dawn of time.
Oh, come on.
So, the big problem with the twist for me, maybe jumping ahead a little bit, the big problem with the twist for me, that's not funny. That's leaving people with PTSD.
Rob and his partner are right there with him. They're like, you got
standard prison experiment.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would have preferred the old lady Connell Cochran Dead Dwarf, one of those real funny old, or the sticky toilet paper or whatever else he was going with. But
look, if you give me a whoopee cushion a couple of times during the weekend, I'm April Fool's Day.
And exploding cigars, I'll laugh my head off.
If I fall off that chair a couple of times, I get a laugh out of it.
But yeah, that's
if you threaten to kill me all weekend, I'm not.
Or make me think that all my friends are being murdered. Yeah,
because especially the stretch, it's got to be a couple of hours or more that everyone's. They find the bodies in the well. So you've got the one that found the bodies in the well. She's going to be pretty shaken up. Then you've got the two that...
She's scared of a glass of water later on.
That's she's already got...
Yeah. She tries to give her a drink. She's like, give me water.
She's already got problems.
So you Rob, and even when everyone's yucking it up in the room and Rob doesn't know yet, he's sitting in the laundry going, I love you! he's messed up. He's going to the bloody... He's going back to the island.
And quite frankly... Wouldn't he have jobbed the bloke who comes out, with the makeup on? Behind him, taps him on the shoulder. He's just going to reflex it and belt him.
How about mate peels off his face and sticks it to his head and he runs off with it on there? What the fuck?
Yeah, serious mental issues from that one. Thanks, Muffy. You fucking idiot.
My last dislike was what you said, Gibbo. The tack on the Jack in the Box and the slit throat at the end I have no idea why.
It's just nonsense.
I don't know what it was doing.
Well, it seemed like perhaps it was going to be the lead into the
maybe
to the next.
But
when it was going to be a long
I would have
movie.
just cut at the end that they were yucking it up and they were drinking piss and that was the end of it.
You know what it reminded me of?
They had a fair old fucking party at the end. I wouldn't mind being there for that one.
They're just pouring champagne everywhere.
Mate.
But that tacked on scene reminded me of the boat chase scene in Face Off.
Yeah.
It's
just
got the same
suddenly
feeling.
happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Whoops, hang on.
Yeah, this movie's over. What's happening?
No, let's do this. All right, other dislikes?
The rest of the movie.
No, you've been upfront and honest about it.
No, that was pretty much it for me.
All right. That was April Fool's Day. We're on Podomatic, iTunes and Spotify. You want to give us send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. We're on Facebook at ThrillMe Podcast Australia, Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com, and on Instagram at ThrillMe Podcast AU. The next episode, going back to Rocky, Creed 2. I know I haven't actually seen it yet, so looking forward to that. But until then, take it easy, and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.